Hi, this is Pat McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is Listening Beyond the Soundbites. Tonight, I am thrilled to be talking about a very special program here in Vermont that I became involved in, sadly, only 3 years ago, but it's been here for a long time, and it's called Wreaths Across America. And I have two volunteers from this program who have joined us tonight that we hope to tell you all about this amazing program. And I really thank you two for coming. It's Lynn Putracelli and Gail Billings. Lynn, how are you? Welcome.
I'm doing very well.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why Wreaths of America, how you got involved?
Sure. I'm actually a Flatlander from Connecticut, but I moved to Randolph 9 years ago. And I learned that the community was a very fulfilling way of giving back. I'm retired from the U.S. Postal Service from Connecticut, and I like to volunteer. And just by coincidence, 3 years ago, I happened to see a post from Gail Billings about Wreaths Across America. And my father and two uncles were in World War II, and it's the Randolph Veterans Memorial Cemetery is so meticulously kept, so peaceful, and I love just to go there and respect the freedom that we have received from these veterans, and just so proud that we're free, free Americans, and to, just give back, give back.
That's great. That's beautiful. Thank you. Yep. And Gail, I know you've been with the organization for quite a while. You can tell a little bit about your background?
Sure. My father was a World War II veteran, and I had heard about it and seen on TV before the convoy, maybe I'd call it, of tractor trailers headed down the East Coast.
Right.
And seen that and thought it was very nice. And then when my dad passed away, I ordered a wreath in his name. It's called a grave-specific wreath, but I ordered a wreath and for him, and I live right in Randolph, and I also think that's just an amazing cemetery. And my parents had put their stone there many years ago, actually, and so I went up that year. I heard it on the radio. And I can't tell you what station, but I heard it on the radio, and I went home and said to my husband, I'd like to go to that. And it was that day. Right. And so I did go, and he did not, but I did. And I really didn't know how it worked, and they did not explain it very well. So, but I helped lay some wreaths, and pretty soon they were gone. And so I went along home. The next year, I heard it on the television, or saw it on the television, and also went, and my husband went with me. And that year, unfortunately, my dad had passed away. Oh, and so, sorry. So when they passed out the wreaths, I immediately went to his grave to see if there was a wreath laying there. When I first got there was not, and however, there was one from a family member or friend there. And so I put the wreath down there for him, and we went along our way after thanking him. When you place a wreath, you say the soldier's name and thank them for their service. And so after I did that, we kind of went along, and in a very short time, I think we each took some wreaths on our arms, and it was done. Right. But there were not all the wreaths covered. And as we went back to visit my dad's, I looked around and said, my dad would be horrified if he thought that he had 2 wreaths and all of these graves had none. So I picked his back up and my husband still had one in his hand, and we headed to try to find an uncle. Long story short, I ran across a young lady who was just sobbing, and she said it was her first. I said to her, "Is there anything I can do to help?" And she said, this is my first time coming here in many years. One of our friends, my son's friends, lived with us a lot, and it was like most kids, they live at one kid's house or the other.
Yep.
And she said he died in Iraq, and she said, I just have not had the courage to come here. And she said, I came, and now there are no wreaths for his grave. So I gave her my uncle's, and we went along to try to the one I had that I'd taken off my dad's. We went along to try to find the uncle, and when I came back, I looked over, and she was going kind of like this. So I walked back over and asked her again if I could help, and she said she was trying to decide between this soldier's grave and the other, who was their other friend, who passed away after he came home. He committed suicide. And so we gave her my husband's. But we chatted for a few moments and kind of got her calmed down and said, we can do better than this. We should not have to choose.
Right. I agree.
Period. So I went home, and Monday morning I called Wreaths Across America. And they explained to me about starting a group and how you went about it. And so we did it. They walked me through it, and I started it in January. And so we worked very, very hard to get the wreaths up. That was the same year that Susan had become involved.
Susan Sweetser.
Yes, she had become involved, and she had worked, being in the legislature, she knew who to get in touch with. She's very good at that. And so she had gotten in touch with the TV stations and whatnot.
Right.
So the year that both of Susan and I went was the year prior. That year, there were 365 wreaths, I believe, and you needed 2,000 or 3,000 that year.
Right.
The second year, which was the year that my husband and I went, and that year Susan had gotten the wreaths up to, I believe it was 1,400 and some change. So the next year, we tried to find out how many veterans there were there, because Wreaths Across America initially said they would only cover veterans' graves. And so we were working on it, and my goal was 3,000, because it was somewhat close to 3,000. And we were 11 wreaths short, unfortunately. But we almost got there. And that year I met, so in January I started my group, and that fall I met Susan. They had called me really just maybe 2 weeks before it was kind of over and your deadline for the wreaths, and told me that she had started a group, and I figured out who she was, and she and I immediately got together and started working on getting the wreaths there. And so and last year we, Shaw's jumped in the year before last, and they donated 1,536 wreaths for us.
Thank you, Shaw's.
Oh, yes. God bless. All of Shaw's philanthropic stuff is veterans. It all goes to veterans, different groups. Yep, they have some that help the veterans get dogs and many other groups. So last year they gave us 1,000, and they showed up, not only gave us the wreaths, they showed up both years with hot coffee and cider and donuts and pastries, and they are wonderful, wonderful people.
Great.
Last year they even helped us shovel the snow off the ground.
The walkways and stuff?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
no, the graves that
themselves.
are flat on the ground. Their members even helped us do that.
That's great.
So last year we really went after it, and because Shaw's gave us those wreaths, we were able to cover the spouses. And if you've ever known anyone who is a spouse,
Right.
to me, they are every bit of veteran
Absolutely.
as the veteran was. And most of the veterans themselves that we talked to before we did this flatly agreed with us. So
great.
last year, we had 5,000 some odd wreaths, and every single grave had a wreath.
What an accomplishment. Thank
it
you
was,
both very much. I knew Susan from the legislature, and that's where we first met. And now you just mentioned Randolph, but there are other cemeteries
There
that have
are.
veterans in them as well.
Correct.
I don't know if you can list them, Fort Ethan Allen, St. Albans, and Bennington, is the vets
Yes,
home in
and
Bennington.
there's
Is there any-
Stamford, there's Oakwood, that may be the Bennington one, I'm not sure. There's Castleton,
Oh, right, Castleton.
and, St. Albans, I was thinking there was one more up north.
St.
but-
Albans, I
Yeah,
mentioned, yeah.
yeah.
So it's not just.
There's 8 of them,
The
I
largest
believe.
one is Randolph, because that's sort of
Correct.
the main focal point, but there are others, and each one of them has their own thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do their own service or ceremonies and stuff. And I know, let me just say, back up a little bit, the Wreaths of America is a nonprofit nationwide,
Mm-hmm.
and there's, I think I have the number here, 5,200 participating locations in all 50 states. That's unbelievable.
Correct. And they're
And to
also-
think that while you're laying your wreath, somebody else in a
Yes.
location all over the United States is doing it on the same day, same time.
Yep.
And I must say, I was confused, and I was glad we have this so we could straighten it out. December 13th is the wreath laying day.
Correct.
But there's a ceremony at the State House. Is that on the 13th as well?
I
I
didn't-
couldn't tell whether that was a ceremony only place, and that's at the State House. And it looked like it was on the same date, so I guess some people go on to the State House and others go to their individual cemeteries, whatever they want to participate in. But it was confusing to me. I didn't
know that there's one at the State House. We'll have to check into that.
Yeah, well, because we should
And I
let people know
don't think
that.
it's a Wreaths Across America one that I'm aware of.
Ah,
I would
maybe it's something the
guess that
state
it's
does.
just the state
Oh,
does
that's
that, but
interesting.
we
Yeah,
should
well,
check that out.
We should check that
'cause,
out, and I can add something to the video here and any other documents we send out on Facebook and stuff.
Sure, sure. Yeah,
I was very confused, but December 13th is the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, now you have a Facebook, do you?
Yes,
Do you
I
not?
do.
Yes, and
Yes.
I know Susan does.
Yes.
And there's one obviously for the Vermont, Wreaths Across America, Vermont.
Yes.
And you can find out what's going on, and to talk about sponsorship of the wreaths, you mentioned site only or name only,
it's called grave specific.
grave
is
specific.
what I
So
had.
maybe you could explain the different sponsorships, because I know groups can also sponsor.
Right. So I would like to back just for
Yes,
a moment.
please.
Because you had asked the question about the different areas. Susan is awesome. My goal was the Randolph thing
Right.
because that was the state cemetery
Right.
and vets from all over the state. But Susan has really done well at making sure that the other locations, reaching out to them. In the past, that had not happened. And last year, she started reaching out to them. And last year, because we did do such a good job, we had extra wreaths. We're not sure how we got them, but we got extra wreaths. And so we called, or someone got in touch with St. Albans and found that they did not have enough wreaths. So they came down and picked up our extra
Great.
wreaths and were able to fill their cemetery. So every cemetery, they have a goal of whatever their goal is, and I'm not sure how we set our goals at covering every grave.
Right.
I'm not sure how they set the goals. Some cemeteries have a goal of like 100, 150. Some groups only have a goal of, if you look at the different, like the composite squadron, the capital ones, the different Rutland the squadron there, they often have just, their goal is just 100 as a group. So we attempt to, and people can go in through a group, and I'll explain this a little bit more in a minute, but they can go in through a group and order, and they can order for a cemetery in Florida if they want to. And if they go through the group, we get the extra wreaths that I'll explain. If they go direct to Wreaths Across America, they get the wreath that they buy, gets sent to that cemetery. However, they have some incentives. And the incentives were, for every 3 wreaths, you got 1 free.
Right, I remember that, right.
That has changed this year, and this year it's every 3.4 wreaths, you get 1 free. So still we're
I'm
trying
not even
to...
going to ask how you measure that.
I leave
Over
that
my pay grade.
up to them. But we are still asking people and trying to put it out as much as possible, and Lynn has been wonderful about helping us with that. But we're asking them to please go through the groups, because even that 1 wreath after 3.4 are paid for by, it doesn't have to be, you can buy one, you can buy one, but when it comes to 3.4 going through your group, you get the extra wreath. And so we're asking people to still please do that. I saw a post today from someone, and they said, go to wreathsacrossamerica.org or go to send a check to the cemetery in, that's incorrect. And the cemetery, Robert that's in charge through the state.
Robert Burke?
Yes,
Yeah.
has asked people to please not do that, because they have no way of processing the checks. They have to send them to the Wreaths Across America. By the time they get there, it may be too late to get the wreaths on the truck.
Right.
So if people can go through a group, no matter whose group it is, if you go through a group, we'll get the extra wreaths, and it'll
Yes, Robert
get
Burke
there in time.
is, I don't know what his official title, and I apologize, I know him, but he's head of the Veterans Association, State Veterans Association
Yes,
here in
and
Montpelier.
he is
Very active.
sort of in charge of that
Yep, right.
cemetery, is one of his.
That's great. Well, I know that Susan told me that there's 3,500 wreaths still needed this year.
Correct.
And time's coming close, because December 1st is, you're trying to get everything organized by December 1st to be ready for December 13th.
Right,
you know.
that's the
Thanksgiving is-
absolute cutoff date too.
Yeah.
Once midnight comes, December 1st,
Yeah.
if they happen to have a little room on the truck, they might throw them on, but it depends on if they have time to put them on,
Right.
or what have you. They have to have
Just out
some
of
time.
curiosity, where do all these wreaths, like you just said, Shaw's gave, what, 1,200 or something?
Yes.
I mean, I would fall over if I got an order to make 1,200 wreaths
Yes.
by, tomorrow.
Well, we could tell her about the ribbons and how it's, we have to put the ribbons on first.
For Shaw's wreaths,
Oh.
not on Wreaths Across America.
You have to do it?
Yeah, and it
Bless
was
you.
freezing. It was just freezing, but
Oh.
we were able to do it. I mean, you won't believe how many, I think there was like 300 volunteers last
Volunteers.
year. And everybody was just working together and putting the ribbons on, and
That's
then
great.
making
And where
sure-
were you doing this?
Right at the cemetery. They were coming off the truck in the pallets.
Wonderful.
And, everybody was, and then we had to unclip it and stuff like that. But it was a very good assembly line.
Must be a great group of
Yes.
men and women,
And you
just
get to
because
see
they're all
a
dedicated.
whole bunch of
and-
people from
Yeah.
town and out of towners, because they are there to represent their family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Well, I know a lot of veterans. I've told you before, I'm secretary to the USS Vermont support group, which is a nuclear submarine. And
Yes.
I'm one of those, and Burke's on the committee. And most of the folks who are on the committee have served and are veterans themselves, and it's been just a pleasure every time we have an event. And then sometimes the sailors, if the boat is here somewhere close by, they'll come up and march in the parade on 4th of July, and it's just great.
Yeah.
Just all these young men and women and thanking
And then
them.
they have a little ceremony afterwards. And how many branches of service is there? 6, I think.
I think
Is
it's
it after
closer
the
to
wreaths have been
9.
Yeah.
placed?
There are 9 wreaths
Yeah.
because they call
Okay, nine.
they add the Coast
Oh,
Guard
the Coast Guard, right.
and
Right.
the color
and the
guard.
color
and,
guards and stuff. So I believe there are
Yes.
9
Yep.
different wreaths that get.
So
Yes.
just so people know, it's $17 a wreath, which I think is, they're fabulous.
Cannot go to a fast food restaurant.
No.
Trust me for that.
No, you cannot. So that's amazing. And if you go to, oh my God, wreathsacrossamerica.org and then type in Vermont, all spelled out, not VT, then you'll be able to search which, it talks about each cemetery and how many wreaths they need. And so it'll give you all that information, and you can donate right online.
Yep.
And,
And if I can-
either donate and let you all decide where the wreaths go, or donate and say, I want this wreath to be on
Right.
person's gravesite, right?
Yep.
Which
So-
must be very hard to organize, if I may say.
We don't. We just take. Well, can I back you up a little bit?
Yes, please, if I'm saying it wrong, we'd like
No,
to
no,
get
no,
it-
no, no, no.
Yeah.
You had asked about where the wreaths come from.
Yeah,
So Worcester Wreath Company out of, I'm sorry, it'll come to me, but they're in Maine. And years ago, when Mr. Worcester was 12 years old, I believe, he went to Arlington Cemetery, and he wondered why there were no decorations or wreaths, just white gravestones. And so it bothered him, and one year they had too many wreaths, and he somehow got in touch with someone at Arlington, and they said, oh, we would love to take them. Well, as soon as people in their town started hearing about it, people with tractor trailers piped up, and it
Wow.
became everybody jumped on board to help, and that's kind of how it began. And I
Wow.
believe in
What a great history.
2003 they became a nonprofit. And it has grown and grown and grown, and they actually go overseas. They go to Normandy every
Oh,
year
that would be
with those
emotional.
wreaths.
Yep.
I can't tell you the other places, but it is international, not just in the United States.
That's
And
amazing.
some 300 million something. It tells on the thing how many they
What a great
how many
story.
they did. So
Because I like the mission of Wreaths Across America. It's obviously remembering the fallen, but it's to honor, to remember, honor, and teach. And on their website, they have an explanation of what gets done for people to remember, for people to honor. And the teaching part I thought was really interesting, because you've got a sort of, they call it the memorial wall, where people leave their stories of their fallen and their loved ones, and you really learn about who these individuals are and how much they sacrificed and what they give up, obviously, besides their life, but what they had to do. And you're mentioning families. I think with my experience with the USS Vermont, where these sailors go, the family goes, sometimes with them, or they're left behind, and they're right there with their soldiers and sailors, and you're right about that they deserve as much recognition from the support.
Gail, what is there's young adults that are, is it the Air Cadet or something?
yeah, they're from the Civil Air Patrol.
Yes, that's
Yes.
very active here in
Yes.
Vermont.
Yes,
And
and
so
they do come out that
they-
day. Yep.
Yep, they
Nice.
come
They're
out
part
that,
of our ceremony.
and
Oh,
they
that's
help,
right. They
and
help
they help
place the
Yeah,
wreath.
they
place
help-
them.
Tell me about the actual day itself. This is December 13th. You go to the different, what happens? I sadly have not been there. The cold and I do not do well
yeah.
together.
So the first couple years I went, you mentioned some 300 people. The first couple of years, both Susan and I went, there were probably 20, 25, 30 people. That was it.
Yep.
And then when we started blowing it up, I'm sure there were more the first year that I went because I heard it on the radio.
Right.
Susan got it going there. The first year that we tried to get the 3,000, oh my goodness, I turned at the corner of up by the college to come down Furnace Road, which is where it is, and there were cars as far as the eye could see. I
Awesome.
was
Oh.
blown away. And last year was even more.
Oh.
I think you're right. There was a good 3,000, 300. The year before, we did it we placed those 3,000 wreaths in a half an hour. And last year, it wasn't much more than that, 5,000 wreaths. And people put them in a little, some bring a little toboggan,
Yeah, right.
plastic
Oh, okay,
toboggan.
something to-
Some
yeah.
bring broomsticks, some, like my husband and I put them on our arms. And you just, because we could not lay the Shaw's wreaths at the same time as the Wreaths Across America ones. We laid them on Friday. So last year, we just took the top and just started and came, because we knew we were going to have a wreath for everyone. So we went right across.
Right.
And then on Saturday, we did the Wreaths Across America ones. And so, same thing, pretty much people just started this row, and then they go to this row, and they had laid well, you can tell them how they lay out the boxes. I'm doing hover talking.
They have someone with a lift or whatever you call that. I
Big
can't-
excavator,
yes.
bucket loader.
Oh, I
And-
see.
and-
Okay,
And they
right.
will, kind of accent the different roadways, knowing where the gravestones are, that, okay, let's place one of the pallets here, and then you have to dig into the box.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot, I don't want to say, but, as we're getting older, there are some that just can't bend
Talking to
right
the
in
choir.
there. But they like to keep the pallet boxes intact, that we don't really, cut them down or anything like
Right.
that. But everybody is just so willing to help,
That's great.
and it's
And they're saying the name of the deceased at the time that they lay the wreath?
yes.
And at this cemetery, we cannot lay the wreath against the grave like you see in so many of the pictures. We have to lay them flat on the ground.
Oh.
But I'm here to tell you, I visit the cemetery a lot during the winter, and probably you as well. You have to walk in. It's not plowed during the winter whatsoever. But those wreaths stand out. They don't get covered up usually unless we have just tons and tons. And when we went back in April to pick them up, they were as good looking
Yes.
as they were the day we laid them down. They were not brown.
Nope.
They
Yeah.
had
Well, if
held
they're
up
fresh-
very.
I had an experience, years ago, I sent my relatives in Florida, what possessed me, wreaths from the Boy Scouts. I knew one of the Boy Scout leaders, and that wreath in Florida lasted for months and months, just like I couldn't believe it. I thought, in a month or two they'd be gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
They couldn't believe it either. They kept saying, still going strong when they're fresh and,
They were
know?
they were so fresh that I think we joked and said, "Oh, too bad we couldn't keep these there until Memorial Day."
Yeah.
But because of the lawns and stuff like that. But another thing also too is I think the wire in the wreath is preventing us to put, because they don't want the
on
for
the
rusting
lawn.
and stuff like that? Yes, yes.
And it does. I have to say, my mother-in-law's grave is not in that cemetery, but someone put just a hanging type wrought iron thing
Right.
over, and it took me hours to get
For the
that
rusting.
rust off that
Oh.
stone.
So that's
why
I
they
didn't
want it,
realize,
yeah.
but so this cemetery
Well, that's probably
asked
why they
us to
said.
please not put them
Right.
against the
Learned the
stones,
hard way,
because
probably.
most of the stones, excepting the people that they call it bring your own stone, the ones that are down in the B section, those ones there are a few colored ones, but all of the other stones are white
So when you go
stones.
to the smaller, and I don't know how Randolph is, but some of the smaller cemeteries, do they have a marked which are veterans so that you know where to place the wreaths? Because you're just doing the veterans' grave sites, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so-
Well, no,
or
this
somebody's
year,
there.
we're hoping to do everyone.
Oh,
So,
oh, I see.
So, again, like we
Fabulous.
did last year, at the Vermont Veterans Cemetery, and I'm not sure at the other cemeteries how they do theirs.
Because some of them, I know
but-
Bennington has a different day that it's doing it, and I think I would just caution people to check. If you go to St. Albans, just either get on their website or go on Wreaths of America just to find out what the deal is at their cemetery, because everything's a little bit different.
Yes, yeah.
Let's always be aware of the weather. We had a little coating of snow last year where people came with brooms and shovels to make sure that the
Oh.
gravestone was visible before we placed. So
That's
these
wonderful.
volunteers that come out and they know what has transpired the year before and they just know it and they just are willing to help out. And
And it's pretty much, I'd assume, the same group comes back every year? 'Cause-
Yes, and it grows.
Yeah. On
so-
Saturday, I'm sure the number of grave sites grow too.
They do, which is why we had to add another
Yeah,
1,000
right.
this year. They do 3 burials a day, basically, I'm not going to say every day, but for the most part, from May, and in May and early June, there's a lot of them that died during the winter
Right,
months,
and
and
they-
they're
they-
entombing them. So May is a very busy month there, but generally from May right through till last year, they were still burying them because the ground wasn't frozen. It was a beautiful day, and the year before was a beautiful day, even nicer. So, but generally it stops in October. It depends on whether the ground is frozen or not. So,
another thing that Susan sent out also was for different organizations that to become aware of this. And I'm in the Rotary in Randolph.
Right.
And we had our meeting today. And I, announced about Wreaths Across America. And so what our president, Bob Wright, will do is I'll send the link to his email, and then he'll send it out to our club members. And some people, I said, in the last 3 generations, I'm sure somebody has had somebody,
Yeah,
that's a veteran. So it kind of touches everybody's family and friends, and
yeah.
we
We all know somebody, I think.
That's
is-
correct.
Especially,
Yeah.
I think you're right about, I don't know the other cemeteries. I do know Randolph because I know somebody who's there and a veteran. And there's a calmness up there and a peacefulness.
yes.
yes.
I don't know, I can't explain it, put it in words, but you're right. You just feel,
I think I have been to 5 military funerals there of people that I have
Oh.
met in town. And I have always said that if you're ever able to go to a military funeral,
yeah,
that is something that
Right.
is just,
that is
it
beautiful.
hits your heart. It does,
Right.
especially if they have the bagpipes
Oh.
or the 3-gun salute, or
Right.
sometimes they do a 21-gun salute. But it is, and it just kind of
Yep.
sets in your heart that this is where our freedom is from.
If you weren't
Exactly.
patriotic before, you might be.
Yeah, I
really-
think leaving, you're going to have a whole
In the
different
same
And they have the
there.
color guard. And I've met people from a color guard. I think they said that they were from Wallingford, Vermont.
Oh.
That they came all the way, and that's like an hour and a half or something, I think, to make sure that there was a color guard there for
And I
a
think-
particular funeral.
I
Yep.
think the stories of those that are there, probably almost everybody's different. I know Susan Sweetser, we had talked about that. It was her daughter, and I don't know how much she has shared. I know she wrote something in.
She has shared, and
she
she
shared it?
shared it on the television.
Or did she?
So,
Yep.
Are you able to tell her story a little
sure,
bit?
somewhat.
Yeah.
So her daughter Virginia, beautiful girl, was in the service and served very proudly, came home, and like many of them, they are not the same person that left. and she had terrible PTSD. They tried to get her help, and I don't mean that she wasn't willing to get help, but she wasn't helped, unfortunately, to the degree that she needed. And I do not quote me on this, but I believe it was some 15 years after she was out, she committed suicide.
15 years?
I believe. Now, I may be wrong, and Susan will certainly will check that fact, but it seems like
Wow.
someone had told me.
What an awful 15 years
horrible.
for her to be living like that.
And, you know, it's something as a parent, you don't get over that, or a sister or a brother, you
Right.
know. That's a very hard thing, and there's so many of them up
Yes.
there that are there for that very same reason.
Right.
So
Nice.
that being said, one of the things that Lynn and I are kind of working on, the first year my husband went, he came home and he, for the first time, really talked about being in the service. He was in Vietnam. And he found it so healing to talk to other veterans that were standing around. Many of the veterans that our veterans show up to volunteer to
sure.
put the wreaths on. Their families come. You meet so many people. That's how I met her. But you meet so many wonderful people and families and get to hear some of the stories if they stay around a little bit after. So particularly for the veterans and their families, it's also a very healing event. And so Lynn and I are working on, we have not, and I'm sure Susan will be involved as well, but right now she's kind of up to her ears and things.
Yeah, I bet.
So we are working on locating a venue where we can go after the ceremony there, and after the wreaths are laid, we would like to gather and have, depending on the weather, but maybe soup or cookies and
Oh,
chips
nice.
and just some drinks. Shaw's brings a lot of that, and we're going to invite Shaw's folks to come and
Nice.
along down as well. We're looking into one particular place. I had a problem finding a place that we felt was large enough. So we are working on that, and hopefully we can make that work this year so that just that
Nice.
thing can happen. The
So you
veterans
can keep the
sit-
conversations going.
Yep,
and-
and
talking.
learn and meet more people, and my husband met people right in our town. He was born and brought up in Randolph, but he met people that he had no idea were veterans. And I met a motorcycle group that participates. They come on their motorcycles and they participate. Many of them are local, but I met a man there who someone asked me when I said my husband was in the Navy and what he did, asked me about tinnitus. Did he have tinnitus or something? But the conversation came up and the gentleman gave me his card. And he works at the state veterans
Oh.
place right beside the
Yep.
DMV. And from that, we were able to get my husband some help with
Wow.
some things. So you meet people like that there
Exactly.
as well.
That's
And,
great.
you know, so I welcome people to come to lay the wreaths, and if it's healing that they get from it, some people are sad, you know, they have different emotions about it. And when I visited Susan's daughter's grave the first time, I had tears in my eyes, and I
Right.
didn't even know who she was. But it's a very hard pill to swallow, and there are so many of them up there.
Well, I was going to say, with you, it's the numbers, and you see all the wreaths laid out there, you're like, whoa.
And I
Yeah.
do have a story also. But question, how did you figure out that I took the photos that year? Remember you contacted?
You told me, I watched you, and I had met you, so
Oh,
I
so you were
remembered.
taking the photos?
Yeah, I
for-
was taking
Yes.
photos, and then she contacted me a few months later, and you needed them for the Champlain booth, Champlain Valley
Yeah.
Fair booth.
Oh,
And so that was how we connected also. But I just love photography, and I just do it as a fun thing. And there was one
She's very
particular,
good at it.
I'll tell you a story, it's very heartbreaking, but it was one particular January day, and it's going to be 2 years, that I got my coffee at McDonald's like I usually did, and I just needed a little time to reflect. And the trees were still, it was like noontime, the trees were still icy covered, and I wanted to take a few photos up there. And so I was parked near the chapel, where I usually park, and there was another car. And I was there for about 15, 20 minutes, and then I left. And then I found out on a Facebook page that there was an untimely death.
oh,
And he was someone local. And I kind of knew who he was. And he was basically waiting for me to leave.
oh my, he was in the other car?
Yeah,
Was that in Randolph?
yes, it was.
Oh my,
And
what an experience.
I went the next day, but they had it.
Yeah, blocked
They
off.
had it roped off. And then the third day I went back because I just wanted to go up and say a little prayer.
Yeah,
And there was a gentleman up there, and you could see he was sobbing.
oh wow.
And
And
I just went over to
Interesting that he
him.
picked the Randolph,
Yeah, I went over to him and I talked to him, and he just said he was just like a son
oh
to me.
wow.
And,
Interesting.
yeah. So you never know.
No, you don't.
And anytime I still go up there, I go up there with my coffee, but I always think of him and think of the service
Right.
that he provided for our freedom.
Yeah.
So
And he was a veteran? as
Yes, he
well?
was.
Ah, wonderful.
Yeah, there are a lot of Iraq, Afghanistan veterans that,
yeah,
I don't think any of us can imagine.
no,
It's just such a different, everything's different.
yes,
Yeah.
Things that we take for granted here
Right.
and
that's right.
not there.
yep.
No,
And it's very hard.
yeah,
Well, I think what you women are doing is just spectacular. And how many you said there's about 50 volunteers or more? You think?
gosh.
Here in
Everybody
Vermont?
will tag on the Facebook page and say I'll be there, or you know.
Yeah.
Because that's just, I don't know,
Yep.
you focus mostly on Randolph, but there's, I know I
So
have
when
a
they
Yep.
go
thing
in,
here that they need, Susan told me they need 2,718 wreaths on the Vermont veterans in Randolph, 846 in St. Albans, 313 in 40th and Allen Cemetery in Colchester, so, and 380 in Bennington, so
Yeah.
there's, it's all over, everywhere in Vermont.
Right.
So I'm sure in each one of those, as we said before, there's a little different ceremony. And people come there to help. I'm sure they volunteer there
Yeah.
as well. They
yes,
have to.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They do it
Great.
the same way, I'm sure. When people go to the web page, like my web page is wreathsacrossamerica.org/V, it's capital VT0016.
Oh, very
And
good.
Susan's is 0019.
Ah,
So if they go directly there at the bottom, there's a little, information, and at the bottom it says view or sponsor, and then sometimes it says volunteer. So I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. It says sponsor or volunteer. And if you click on sponsor, then I have mine set up so the Vermont Vet Cemetery is the first one in a drop-down
Right.
list. Different people have it set up
Yeah,
different
sure, sure.
ways. But that, like I said, that was my
yeah.
goal.
That was your
and
focus, right?
Focus, exactly. And so, so they choose, the first thing it'll say is, how many do you want? And multiply it one, it'll multiply it right out for you. It gives you a few options, and then it says other, and you can put in any amount that
For
you
next
wish.
donation.
So
0.4.
3.4. But
Have to check that out.
many people do one or two, a multitudes do 5, 10.
Right, right.
And we've had some last year. We had, God bless his heart, we had a gentleman who did 500,
Wow.
which is a large amount of money. And God bless his heart that, put us well over.
Right.
Last year, we went well over, so we actually had quite a number to start with this year. But because we're up to 6,000, it's still
Yeah.
more than we needed 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't even want to know
total.
what happened during COVID. That must have been
I
a real
I
struggle.
don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
go back then, so
Yeah.
I'm
Because
not
it was
sure.
going on then too, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
But one thing I'll caution is if they happen to go down to, say, the vet cemetery, and then they decide to look at that, if you click on it, it'll come up and tell you about the vet cemetery. But then if you hit sponsor there, it goes through the vet cemetery. It does not go through the group.
Oh, so you have to be sure you're clicking the right.
Right, so if you go into a group, I would say look around first and then go back to the group and choose what you want to do. Because then not only does it, you choose the cemetery, same as any other way, but the difference is you start from that group and the group gets the credit and gets the extra wreaths.
Oh, okay.
And so, but everything else is the same, but we've
It's not
had
difficult. I went through
Right,
the
it's
the
very
websites.
easy and
pretty
it's
easy
just
to
click, click, click,
navigate.
click, yep.
You know,
And people should really realize that volunteering just for one event, it warms your heart. It does.
Well,
It gives you a fulfillment. And there's so many things in Randolph that people can volunteer for, and this
Yeah.
is just one of them that I just have
That's
added because it's
Well, I must admit, I was a little surprised when you said a half hour. That in the cold I could do. I had envisioned several hours
No.
out in the
And
cold,
that's
and
what
I
my
thought this
husband had
body's not going to make it.
My husband had said the first year, but as the wreaths have grown and the word's gotten out,
Yeah.
people have come
Right.
by the droves, and there's just so many of
That's
them
great.
that it's, it goes
What an
very
accomplishment
quickly.
to stand back and
and
to see all this
everybody-
wreaths.
It is beautiful.
I bet.
The white snow and the green wreaths
Yeah,
and the
and the
red
red-
bows.
yeah.
Oh, it's just
and people are so
stunning.
thankful. Everybody is, I would say, they are in a very happy situation. They don't come with frowns. They know that this is to just give thanks.
Right. That's
And,
great.
and families gather. And last year I had
Youngsters,
several
yes.
people come to me and say, thank you. One girl was from New Jersey, and that's a thing they do. That's when their family gets together, is they come to honor their dad there, all of them. And, which is again why we wanted to have this thing and have a
Right.
place where they could sit down. Some can sit on the stone walls, but when it's cold. And
Yeah.
one year it was so deep the stone walls were covered. One of the first years I went, I have
right.
pictures. The snow was blue inside. I took pictures of it because it was that deep. It
Yeah.
was, and we were right to our waists, trucking through. So, but of course,
Half hour sounds good to me, so
Yep.
because I really thought it would have been a couple of hours while everybody's reading the names, and I went,
Yeah.
"Oy."
Yeah.
So
it
excellent.
does go quite
That's
quickly,
great.
as long as we have enough
So
volunteers.
you know what I did yesterday? I looked up the symbol of the wreath itself. I don't know if you've ever done this, but the wreath. I have to read this because the wreath symbol represents eternity, unity, honor, with deep historical and cultural significance. And I thought, how perfect.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
It just fits right in with,
Yeah.
with the motto and with what Wreaths Across America is trying to do. And it goes on and on about how long it's been used and everything, which is very interesting. It's, you know, back in ancient Greece, but I just thought those words, eternity, unity, honor, perfect.
Yep.
I'm just checking it out, because
And
we've all, and of course now it's used as decorations, but there's a
Correct.
big meaning behind it for a lot of years.
Yep. And as you know, a lot of the World War II vets and World War I, they were celebrated when they came home, but the Vietnam
No,
vets were not. And even, you know, there weren't huge celebrations for the Iraqi or the Gulf
Right,
War,
the Gulf, right.
Afghanistan, any of those either. And so this is our way of celebrating them, and many of those people are still alive. And it's, to me, it's our way of saying thank you. You didn't get a parade back then, but at least here we have a huge gathering, and these people are thanking you for, you know,
Yeah, that's
being able to be
great way
here.
to look at it. I would love to be part of the honor flights.
Yes.
That we have them from Vermont, that they fly down to Washington, and that's it, when they come back, everybody's, you know, cheering and
Yep.
welcoming them
My
home.
dad was almost
Oh,
going
was
to
he?
do that, and he got sick. He used to get pneumonia quite easily, and he got sick, so he...
It must be emotional for all of them
yes.
that participate.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you very much. I'm going to show some pictures at the end of the video, so we can get everybody a little sense of what that day is like.
Yep.
December 13th, and it's wreathsacrossamerica.org /
Forward slash...
forward slash Vermont.
No,
Yours is VT.
VT, just capital V, capital T, 0016.
Okay.
And Susan's is 0019.
All right, great. We will add that and get the information out. Thank you very much.
thank
I
you.
appreciate
You're very
it.
welcome.
Do you
Thank you
have a
for helping
website,
us.
Lynn?
No, I just do it on Facebook.
Oh, Facebook. Well,
And
that's,
I do it on the Front Porch Forum.
yeah.
And
Perfect.
I know Gail has done it on the Front Porch Forum.
Yeah, I just
But
joined that
we
and
share
put
it
it on.
with different sites that are in the, I grew up in Vermont, the Randolph Billboard, Randolph Resources, so it gets out to quite a few different.
Yeah, and I think Susan said they were looking for people to help with TikTok, if they have a TikTok, and
Yeah,
and to
and
help
X,
get
I don't
get the
have
word
X,
out.
but any way that people can share it.
Right.
I put several posters around and on bulletin boards recently, but if somebody can, when you see my poster, and I gave the last one away on the way up here and didn't realize it was my last one, but when you see the posters, there is a QR code right there. And in the thing that we're sharing on Front Page Forum, on Facebook, there, on mine, there is a QR code. It shows the poster and the QR code, which takes you right there.
Right there, okay.
The thing that I just passed you
Yes.
has that as well, and that takes you right to it. So,
We'll try to put as much information as we can as part of the
super.
video. So
And
we
if
can-
anyone
It's a lot of
has
wreaths in another
has
week and a half.
a boss or, you know, wants any corporation, they
Yep.
can take it because it's a 503c nonprofit. They can take it off their taxes, the donations. So, and we do only have about 1 week left. December 1st is the absolute cutoff. I've been telling my folks November 28th so that we, you know, can, but any TV stations, any radio stations, any form
Get it
of
out there.
spreading it would be much
Yep,
appreciated.
We could
So
use your help.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for
you're
joining
very
us.
welcome. Thank you
This
for
is Pat
having us.
McDonald, your host for Vote for Vermont, where our tagline is listening beyond the soundbites. See you next week.